Good morning, Flosstube. My name is Laura, and I'd like to welcome you to Stitching by the Shore, my channel all about cross stitch with a little bit of paper crafting thrown in too. If you are new, I'd like to say welcome. Thank you so much for pressing play. I hope you enjoy watching what I have to show and enjoy maybe stitching along with me while I talk about my stitching. And as always, you know, I'd love to hear what you're working on if you're doing some sort of crafting while you were watching my videos, or anything really. And if you're a returning stitching friend, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you taking the time to hang out with me for a little bit of stitchy chat. Alrighty, so I have maybe a little bit less than what I normally do, but that's okay. You know, some weeks are February. I had a very good stitching month. I think, in fact, I stitched more stitches in February than I did in January, even losing out on those 2 days. I just was in a groove for about a week or two, and things were pretty quiet, and I just kind of went to town with stitching. I'm definitely already noticing with March, things are picking up a little bit, so the stitching time is a little bit different, but you know that it ebbs and flows, and I enjoyed what I did, so that's the main thing. So all of the well, no, I shouldn't say all of them. The majority of the trading cards have gone out this week, so watch your mailboxes if you are a swapper. There were a couple when I went to the post office. The mail lady, she was very helpful for the majority of it, but with a couple of my internationals, she's like, nope, I need customs forms for those. And I didn't have them, and she really wasn't inclined to help me at that point, and there was a line of people, so I said, fine, I'll just take them and figure that out on my own. Normally when I send out, you know, when I have like the weekly, you know what's giveaways, right? I do it all online, so that takes care of any customs that have to go for international, so I don't even pay attention to it, didn't even think about it. So I will get those few that I am lacking in customs in order to get out there. I guess if it's considered a package, it needs a custom form if it was just a flat envelope, which in some cases it can be, but not always with the trading cards, because it depends on, you know, the sizes of everything. But I'll figure out with that, and then I'll get those out. And then Hannah, I'm going to reach out to you because I really want to make sure I'm addressing your address correctly, because I don't know how to address yours. So check your emails. I'll hopefully get one out to you very soon. My laptop died last weekend. Well, it was dying. It would come on, but then it would flicker, and then it would blank screen, and you know, apparently flickering, you know, I was looking online and I asked my brother, who knows much more about computers than I do, and he said anytime things flicker or you get it blank screen, that's usually not very good. So we did end up, Mo and I researched, this laptop was older than we thought it was, so you know, time flies, right? So we did end up ordering a new one, and we just got it. So I'm hoping that I can get up and running. I do a lot of stuff on my laptop, to be honest with you, versus on a phone. Mo does a lot on his phone, and I'm not a fan of that. So I'm a little behind on some of my stuff just because technology let me down a little bit, but I'm getting there. So Hannah, just watch your emails, and is the long and the short of that. But I did get one full finish done. I know it's tiny, but that's okay. It's in the season. Look at this. I'm doing a seasonal full finish. I know, you're shocked. Now, if you are new here, I am a simple girl. When it comes to finishing, when it comes to decorate, whatever it is, I am a less is more kind of person, which is why what you're seeing is what you're seeing. So this is a pattern by Helen D. And if you go to Helen, you know what? I'm going to link her Flosstube, because I'm pretty sure in the description box she always puts a link, and she has a whole section. I think she actually has a website where the downloads are. So I stitched this with sulky, the variegated sulkies. I think this was the very first time I used any type of variegated. And generally, I'm not really good with variegated and words. I have trouble reading it. But I said, I'm going to give it a try this time. And I actually, it works out okay. I can actually see it without much problems. And then I used a little bit of, I don't know if that's, no, that's not a toile. It's probably Petite Treasure Braid for the O on Pot of Gold. And then in my simple finishes, I wanted to do something with the gold and pull out the gold. So this is actually, it's a cardstock, and I had two different golds. I had one that was pretty bright, which would match more of the brightness of the O. And then this one is, I think it's called like a champagne. I don't know if it's still available. It's from Gina K Designs in her cardstock line. So if you wanted to look, and it is, it has a bit of like a matte sort of texture. It's not shiny or anything like that, but it's a real pretty and nice kind of, if you want a metallic without being like really shiny metallic. So I used a metal die and the die cut machine, and I cut out that shape, which I thought was perfect for the size here. I actually have white and gold, metallic kind of gold baker's twine. And then I just did a simple bit of felt, of course green, on the back. So now I can hang these on my little hooks on my shelves, or this one. I do have some that I've kept up all year that are a few St. Patrick. Maybe I'll show those next week. And then I have another one that I would like to get finished, maybe full finish this week. I'm not sure what I'm doing with it, so we'll see. But there we go. I think that's full finish number 8 for the year. So I'm a little behind if you were to do a certain number per month, but I'm not particularly worried about it. I will have like a finishing frenzy, I'm sure, at one point. So 55, 8 down, whatever that math is left, 47. So, okay. So my stitching, I so enjoy this piece, and I just decided I had to pull it out. It is my Celtic dragon. Now this is from 2x2 Stitch Art. They're on Etsy. I don't think they have their own standalone, but I don't know that for a fact. I know I got this from Etsy, and I started it for the hashtag yearofthedragonsal stitch along, and that stitch along is hosted by the Hugo Stitcher and Fibers and Floss Canada. Oh, did I get that right? I hope so. It'll be linked down below. And so there'll be a little section that says Year of the Dragon Stitch Along. So this week, or week and a half, I'd say probably week and a half-ish, I've been seeing dragons. So I saw the runner stitcher, Andrew, the runner stitcher. He's stitching a dragon piece. And I'm almost sure I just saw that just recently, because I don't know, you could be putting out videos and then I'm way behind. Then Melanie from Uplift Stitches, I'm almost sure I saw her stitching and they put it, Melanie and Michael just put out an update for the end of the month within this last week. So I'm almost sure she has one. And then Beth the Steadfast Stitcher, who, you know, I'm always stitching this stuff with her. Beth is doing I think it's an owl forest. Owl forest? She showed it on her last Flosstube. So there's some, if you want to see some cool dragons and all different, check out all those channels. Mine, I am basically, that pattern was a jumping off point. This is going to be Zayden's dragon from Fourth Wing. If you are a reader of Fourth Wing, you would know who I'm talking about. She is a blue dragon. I'm not sure of the type. I'm not that good. And I'm using Roxy Floss Co. This is my first time using them. And you know, I don't generally use a lot of variegated, which is probably very apparent because I do have a line here. I do have one streak. Otherwise, I think I'm doing pretty good. I think I'm going to leave it at the moment. And if it really, really bothers me, I don't know how much I'd want to attempt to pull it out, but I'm going to keep it for the moment. Hopefully it won't be so obvious when there's a lot more to look at. Roxy Floss, she's so blue. I thought that was really appropriate. And then I'm going to do a different color, deeper of Roxy Floss for the part around her. And then the border will be a DMC, and that should be a little bit darker. We'll see. This is 18 count. Look at this. 18 count Phoenix from Bestitchme. Isn't that gorgeous? I just, you know, originally I thought, oh, a blue, right? Because you know me and blues. And then I saw this. I don't know why I was looking. I was looking for something else, I think. And then I thought this would be really cool for a dragon. So I did end up going with this one. So this one comes out almost like every other week, I feel like. Andrew, runner stitcher, he was talking about whether or not he could get his finished by next lunar, at the end. I'm confusing leap year and lunar, but I was going to say, no, not 4 years. The next lunar, the start of the next Lunar New Year, because this is the year of the dragon. So that's why this stitch along started. And so I kind of like that idea. There's a lot of stitches in this. I'm doing it paper, so I don't know the numbers of it, but I'll have to keep up with it, I think, and keep at it if I do want to have it finished by the start of next Lunar New Year. But for now, I'm going to keep my hopes up, and I think I might be able to do it. And we'll see. We'll see as the year progresses whether or not that's really a pipe dream or if that's a reality. But off the top of it, obviously, and then Hugo Stitcher and Fibers and Floss Canada also have stitching dragon pieces. Who else have I seen? I'm kind of blanking at the moment. You know, it's kind of like, who have you seen recently? And those are the three that stuck in my head when I was sitting down to talk about this and looking at my projects. But if there's more, if you're stitching one, let us know, and let us know which one you're stitching. That's kind of cool in the sense that there's so many dragons out there. It's really, really neat. So it's fun to see all of them. I do have my mini Until the End, which is not technically a Year of the Dragon piece, but it is another dragon that I'm stitching. But yeah, and if you have an Instagram, for example, and you're better than me at posting pictures, let us know what your Instagram is or your Flosstube or whatever, because I would love to see if I haven't seen it. And Instagram, I'm seeing sometimes posts from 7 days ago, sometimes 20 minutes ago. So I'm convinced, like Facebook, that you don't always see everything that people post. Forget even using hashtags. I don't even try the hashtags anymore. But in my feed, if I'm following you, I may not see it. Or maybe I don't know necessarily about your Instagram. So it would be fun to check out what you're stitching. And I'd love to see your dragon if you're doing one. Okay, next. This is my 25/7 piece for at least until St. Patrick's Day. I'll reevaluate then. I'm curious to see how much I can get done. So basically, I spend about 25 minutes a day, approximately 2 strands. I'm in the part, actually these gnomes, these are from WonderStitch UA. And I've got 4 gnomes on the go. 3 on the go, 1 is finished. I finished the sunflower gnome this year, or last year, 2023. And I have winter, St. Patrick's, and an autumn one, a pumpkin one, I believe. So I've stitched them enough that there's a lot of colors and there are color changes, but there are also blocks of color, if that makes sense. So what I've been doing with the 25/7 is I pick usually one color and try to get 2 strands in. Now it depends on where I happen to be. If I'm on a page break, because this is also a paper one for me. So sometimes the page breaks, it's a 4-page pattern when you print it. And so there's page breaks, about right here, and then there'll be one here. So this is where I am. Can you see the sparkle? I don't know. I never know. Sometimes if I see it on camera afterwards, if for some reason, like a picture or something, I can see the sparkle. But when I'm looking at it, while I'm filming, I never can see it. But this is an opal. This is Opal Water Nymph, 18 count from Bestitchme. And I love it. I mean, look at how pretty that piece is. I ended up winning this in a Friday night fight night, which I don't generally do very often, because by 10 o'clock on Friday night, I'm pretty much done. I'm not a stay up late kind of person. But I happened to luck out that time, and I just, for the heck of it, got it. And I am so happy I did. So we have one area of the shamrock done over here. Obviously, there's another couple leaves, and that's several colors. I really like how, that's one thing about WonderStitch. That's 1, 2, there's at least 3 internal colors, not counting the border one. So at least 4. I really like how they blend their colors. When I did the sunflowers, It's all DMC, and you do have to change color, but it looks really nicely blended. Do you know what I mean? So I really like how they do that. So I did a little bit of that, and then I'm working my way down. There was one, and I don't know if you remember from the last time you saw it, there was a little hole right there. There was one symbol that had gotten left off of that you get the set of 3, and on that one that I had printed off, that symbol had been left off. But obviously I must have found it otherwise, because I went through all my colors and I went through what everything was had a symbol, and there was still a color left. And so I was like, oh, that must be the color. So I've wrote myself a note as to what the symbol is. So I was able to finish, you know, from here is completely finished now. And then I'm just jumping back and forth with the different colors. So what would I like to do by the time the St. Patrick's Day comes? Well, I would ideally love to get the hat, but I'm not sure I think that's too much with just doing, I mean, you can get a lot done with 25 minutes a day, but I don't think I can get that much done. I'm not sure if I remember my goal for this one for the year was probably to get to the nose, which would basically be a halfway point. They are a lot of hat, usually, these gnomes. And then, I'm not going to lie, I mean, there's a lot down below that, but that's about halfway. So you will see that again at least next week, if not more. What I might do after St. Patrick's Day, I might keep it in the rotation, but not as a 25/7, and just do like a chunk of stitching on it and then go on to something else. Okay. I have a lot of digitals to show you this week. And where's my next one? So this is the end of the rotation on this one. I finished Monday or Tuesday. I finished my 10-day-ish rotation. 10 stitching day rotation. It's not always 10 calendar days. And this one, there we go, it's from Cross Stitch for Everyone. And it is called Bottled Beauty. Well, that's the Etsy title. That's one part of the Etsy title. You know how Etsy titles are. And so that's what I happen to call it, is Bottled Beauty. And it is charted by Cross Stitch, and it's done by Fun Digital, is who created it. So that's what it looks like. You know me and beaches. I really like this one. I actually was quite sad to put this one away. I'm thinking I should have done it in February, right? For full coverage February. I'm thinking that I'm going to do one of my full coverages. I want to take a whole month and do a strand or 2 a day. And this one is really conducive to that, because even though you change colors, you do so in kind of a, I don't know if block form is correct. So this is what it looks like total. As you can see here on this side, I filled in most of the colors. So see what I'm saying? I can do a color and skip over a bunch, and then the next color is going to fill in all of that. And I just found that really satisfying. So this side, I bulked up a little bit. You can see on this side, so that's the other end. We've got, again, that would be a color just filled in for the most part. There's some other stray colors and everything. And then over here, so there's a lot of browns in that area, but that's because it's kind of shaded, a deep, deep kind of sky look. This is an 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. But there was something just so satisfying about this one. If I was to monogamously do a full coverage, I think this one might be it, to be honest with you, just because I really felt accomplished every time I finished stitching on it for that day, you know, because I try to do, what, 100 stitches, maybe 150 if I'm on a roll. This one actually, and that part of contributed to my February numbers, that one was easy to get a lot of stitches in a short period of time. So maybe I might pick a month where I do a stitch or 2 a day on one full coverage for the whole month, plus rotate the other ones in among that with their 10-day rotations. And that one could be it. Maybe over the summer, because, you know, it's a summer piece. We'll see. Okay, so next, I didn't know what to do with March's Daffodil. It's from Cottage Garden Samplings. You know I'm trying to do each of these months. And I talked about doing a strand a day, because I didn't know really where I wanted to go on this piece. And one of you had commented that for you, when that happens, it's almost like a signal to put the piece down, because you just don't know where to stitch. So sometimes that means you need to step away from it. So what I did was, for a couple days I did step away, and then I did a strand a day just to keep up with it. And I think that seemed to work pretty well. So here I am. I'm not giving myself that hard and fast goal to have this finished by the end of March. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, no biggie. I'm sure prompts could come out for this in the course of the year, because it'll be close by the end. I mean, if I don't get it finished, there won't be a ton to do, so it might not be too bad. 18 count Lilac Mist from Hand Dyed by Rolanda. And at this point, I think I might have, oh, except I have one more white flower, I think down here, like a half flower, like one of those half flowers like here. I have one more of those, but all my flowers are in the stand of my birdhouse is almost down, but I did do some more greenery. I did more greenery here. And then maybe this week I'll work on the words. They're not my favorite colors, but they're in at this point. And I think off of the darker one is actually a brown, but I think off of the lilac, it almost reads a little, depending on the light, a little bit more maroony for me, which I kind of like. So I'm okay. I'm okay with it. I'm not enough not liking it to pull it out. I think in the end, it'll all go together nicely. So that's that piece. That one, and for now, St. Patrick's Gnome. Those are the two that you're going to probably see, especially this one, throughout the month, just because then, you know, next month I'll pick up April. Now this next piece, I have no stitching finishes. I had that full finish for the ornament, pot of gold ornament, but otherwise no stitching finishes. I know I had been on a roll, but I don't think there was anything that close, and I didn't want to force it before I got tired of the piece. But I did have one start. And of course, at the beginning of the year, I didn't know I was going to be starting this. Oh, you know what? I want to put down the information for this stitch along. But Nancy, the disorderly stitcher, hi Nancy, you got me. I had this in my list of things to stitch one day, and then Nancy started to stitch along. And do you think I could think of what that hashtag is right now? No. But just like the dragon stitch along, because I'll probably do them in order, underneath that, there will be information for the Hawk Run Hollow stitch along. I don't know if it's specifically, I don't necessarily think it's specifically for the shores. I know that's the one that, maybe, no, I don't think so. I think it might be for any, but I know Nancy is stitching this one. She started it, and it's a leap day stitch. So each block is the way she's doing it is she's dividing it, that's the word, into 4. So it's a quarter. Each one of those is a quarter. That one would be a half a year for the next 4 years. And so if you keep up with that, basically in 4 years' time, you'll have this one finished. Now, oh, I need to get a picture. I don't know if part of the reason why I held off on this one was because there's a couple blocks that are not my favorite. This thing is huge. So I'm not sure what, the final reasons were why I didn't start it, I think I didn't have a piece big enough, and, all that fabric. So then Megan from Georgia Girl Stitching, and let me make sure I have Megan's name down. She started stitching this last year, but Megan broke up the pattern and is only stitching 5 blocks. And this is how she broke it up. And she also is kind of changing the colors a little bit. She's using a lot of overdyes, but she's brightening it up. And I really liked that look. So I asked Megan, was it okay if I stitched these blocks like she is stitching them? And she said, sure. And if you watch her latest video, you will see, I think she's into this. I think the top is done. I think, if I remember correctly, because I'm seeing this pattern a lot now, I think she's here in the middle. Yes, because she was doing, I assume that's a dolphin. I think she had stitched this. So if you would like to see her take on it, and Megan's really good with colors, so it's really fun to see hers. You can check out her video. But you're going to be shocked. I didn't use blue fabric. I mean, this screams blue fabric, right? No, I was very inspired by the original. And that wouldn't necessarily be something I would normally do. But I had gotten this fabric, again, this sat, I think, with, I don't remember if I put it in with the pattern. Maybe not. But I kind of had it in the back of my mind for this pattern. And I think it's really going to work. When I choose colors, look at this. I kind of sometimes just do it by gut feeling. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes I'm swayed by the picture of the cover. Sometimes I'm not. And I mean, I'm doing my Summer Quaker in Nantucket Sky from Stephanie. So you'd think, okay, it'd be a no-brainer that I would do this one in that too. But for some reason, I was feeling this. This is an 18 count pale ale and is from Dying for Cross Stitch. And yes, that's a different color than what is charted on. So they have what they do is in silks, and then they have the DMC. And yes, as usual, 3777. Everybody and their uncle likes to use 3777 for kind of a primer sort of red. And I didn't go with that. I'm almost sure that Megan had an example of a DMC, and I think I went with hers. So I didn't get a ton in my start, but it's a couple hundred stitches. Because I'm only doing the 5 blocks, I don't necessarily have to worry about doing a quarter of a block, because I'll say 6 blocks, right? Because one's a double block. Because I'm only doing pretty much half of the pattern. If you look at it, there's 6 blocks that I am not stitching. So timing wise will be a little bit different for me. And if I get it done in less than 4 years, well, even better. So that's where I am. So thank you, Nancy, for starting this. And it got me going. Even though I was watching Megan's and I kept looking at it, it wasn't until this stitch along started that I said, you know what, I'm going to get going on this one. And then I reached out to Megan, and the rest is all stitching history. So there you go. So hashtags are just fun now, right? I mean, they're nowhere as useful as they used to be. But I will make sure I have that, because I do like a good hashtag, even if, it doesn't mean much on Instagram anymore. Alrighty, next. Oh, that was right there. So the next piece was the full coverage that I started on Leap Day, that night. But I hadn't really done much of anything, so did I show it? Maybe I did show it. Yes, I did show it last week. I'm almost sure I showed it last week. But there wasn't much. I got some good progress this week, so I'm happy to show you. I still have, I don't know, there might have been a day or so that I didn't get to it. So I probably have 2 or 3 more days in this rotation. So I think I could get this started with a good 1,500 stitches and have it skating towards that much by the time I put it away. This is it was called Valentine 2024 Venus, I believe. It was a freebie from Heaven and Earth Designs for a day, and it's charted by Michelle Sayetta, or designed by Michelle Sayetta, who is from Heaven and Earth. So it kind of reminded me of dragons. Somebody had mentioned that it looks more like a serpent, which I could totally see. So I don't know, serpent, dragon combination. Can we make a new word? So that was kind of fun. And then the colors were totally different than other pieces. There's so much kind of gold, and we'll see what it looks like. Obviously, that's the mock-up. We'll see in real life when I get to that. I'm still in all the teals and the blues, but it's fun because they're a little bit deeper than I thought they would be. So that's where I am. And it's over 1,000, but it's not quite 1,500, I think, at this point. This is, again, 18 count white Aida, 2 strands over 1, full cross. This one, much bigger than my Bottled Beauty. So this one, I'm giving myself 2 cycles of leap year for this. So we're looking at maybe 8 years from now. It could be finished. Or I'd be curious to see where it is. I'll be really curious to see where it is next leap year. So 2028 will be really interesting to see. Who knows? I could have a good chunk of it done. Okay, next. This was my New Year, New Start, and it is one of my 4 rotational pieces for the year. So it gets a week / minimum 500 stitches, and it is Fish and Chips from Long Dog. I'm under no illusion that even just doing that's going to get me a finish this year. It's not huge in comparison, right? I mean, it's 187 by 212. So for a Long Dog, that's not bad, but it's big enough. So here we go. That's where I am. Isn't this fabric so pretty? This is 18 count. It is basically just an unnamed blue from a blue-green pack from Dying for Cross Stitch. And I am using DMC white floche. And my back stitch I have decided to do, and if you can see, let me fold this over. I switched over. The floche was a little too thick for back stitch, but if you see this little guy here, you see his little spout, that is a sulky white. I don't know if there's multiple, you know, DMC has B5200 and white, plus 3865. You know, sulky, and they never, so this is what the sulky is, but I don't know. Like it says 1001, but I don't know if that means anything or not. I'm not sure, but it's close enough. It looks good against the, I mean, it's back stitch, so it looks a little brighter than the floche, of course, but I think it looks good. The floche itself is a DMC, ooh, I think it's white. Let me see what the tag says. Yeah, so it's Blanc. So that's what the tag is. So they basically, with the floche, take certain DMC colors, and it's a thicker. I talked about it last week if you wanted to, and I am, when I talk about plans, I'll show you another one, because I have something else coming up with some. So that's where I am. I got pretty much down here. So we have this done right here. I have another on this side, little guy, and then I'll bring down some more of the border. I am a border, inside, back and forth kind of stitcher. And then, did I do anything over here? I'm not convinced I did, to be honest. I think I stayed on this side. So what I might do, so this is almost the edge, to be honest. So you can see it's not going to be super, super wide. I have a couple of seagulls, and then I have the lighthouse, and then that's the border. So you're talking maybe right here. Next time I pick this one up, maybe that's what I'll do, so I get that top border done. I think I didn't, because one, I wanted to do that cute little whale. Plus then I wanted to do the seahorse. But two, with these seagulls, you do have to do a little bit of extra counting. And I'm always, what I'll do is I'll probably stitch those. Then I might do some border to kind of count everything off of it. I am doing both borders. I know some people are only doing the inside kind of, I'll say dotted border. There is also a solid two square, completely solid border. I decided to stitch it. I know that will make a finishing a little bit more difficult, but I had started with it, and frankly, I'm not sure I want to undo it. It'll be fine. It'll work. It'll be fine. So this one now goes away, and I pull out the next piece, which is, I believe, Summer Quaker. So that is the next one that you will see next week as part of that rotation. Which is good because I didn't put that on my plans. So now you know one of my plans. All right, this one I'm starting to pull out pieces, obviously, for the acrostics, the I Spy challenge in my group, my Facebook group, and I haven't committed to categories, but I kind of have to make a decision, because if I don't do categories, I'm not sure for the month of March what I do in Whip Warriors. But for my I Spy, I think there was something shiny, right? So my fabric is shiny. I was hoping to get to Dorothy. I do want to put a 12 for her shoes, and I kind of forgot. I'm down here for a lot of it at the moment. I still have some stuff up here to do, and I was just into it. It's stitching the Emerald City, and I was just on a roll, and so I just kept going with that. So this is 18 count, again, a sparkly, so it's an opal blue ice from To Dye For fabrics. She's currently not, To Dye For is different than Dyeing To cross stitch. To Dye For is not doing any fabrics this year as far as I can tell. The Dyeing For cross stitch is, and she's a beautiful blue for her fabric of the month this month. And her fabric of the month is just pick and choose as you go. There's no commitments. So if you wanted to check out that, and you know me in blues. So, but yeah, so this is where I am. And again, I focused heavily down here. This is, I know for sure, something shiny. And then one of the, I think, you know what? I think the actual acrostic for Magazine Monthly is balloon. Well, this is a balloon and it starts with the letter B. So I think I also pulled it out for that. And I can't remember, I might have pulled it out for Crafts and Books acrostic as well. I try myself, so on average, what, there's like 4 challenges-ish, you know, plus pop-ups that I do. If I can try to find something for the 2 acrostics, my I Spy, and categories, if I can pick one piece and do all of them and kind of double dip, so to speak, that is the best of all worlds. So I feel like that's why if I was trying to do something different for every letter of every acrostic and every prompt, I would get a little overwhelmed by the games and such. But I think doing it this way, it makes it kind of fun. And it's kind of a challenge then to see what I can do in that sense. All right, where is my next one? You haven't seen this one actually since I had started it. And I pulled this out. I know I pulled it out for one of the acrostics at least. This is the Christmas Band Sampler, and it is from Lost in Stitches. And I really like the pattern. There's something about it that just really appeals to me. And I'm still on the one color, and I don't know if I'll do all of the red and then fill in. Probably not, because I'm sure I'll want to, there's some green up here. I'm sure I'm going to want to pop in some color. This itself, this fabric is 18 count Friendship Green by Fabrics by Stephanie. So it is a kind of a pale-ish green with a little bit of a, you know, kind of gray undertones, not too much, at least on the 18 count. That's what it looks like. And so the other greens are going to look really nice on it, I think. There's 2 greens. And then I really like how the red looks. So when I picked it up, I think mostly I just had maybe a little bit of extra on these sides and maybe a little bit here, but I started working my way across there, coming all the way down here. This pattern is it's a really pretty pattern as it evolves from the stitching, and it goes all the way down to, then you'll have another one of these down here on the bottom. And actually the other side will be the same. So that'll be nice. And there is a groove you can get into. As I started to do that, I could figure out how to go with a strand and then pick it up with the next strand and just not have to do stopping and starting. The top one is a little bit harder to do that, but that's okay because it's shorter. So I'm okay with that. The next piece I picked up, I don't think you've seen this one either, potentially yet this year. So do I purposely look at each and every pattern and say I'm going to pick them up? Like I don't do, okay, pick up every pattern and then repeat kind of thing. But so what? I had 75 pieces that I started 2024 with projects. Obviously, I'm starting some. Obviously, I'm finishing some. It would be nice for the most part to get my hands at least a couple times on each one. And if I don't, then I need to kind of evaluate at the end of next year why. What was it that made me kind of pass on by that one as I was looking for things to stitch? So this one right here, I started this in October of last year for my pumpkin birthday sale. So it's hashtag pumpkin birthday SAL. Every October I do it. I have been now, this might be the 3rd. I don't know if that was the 3rd or the 2nd year. I'm not sure. as I'm not sure what year I started it. Anything stitching on a pumpkin, pumpkin colored, pumpkin related, you name it. I'm trying to get, the light is definitely, it's a bright day today. So that's what it looks like. It's called Autumn Still Life from Owl Forest Embroidery. And it's funny because when you look at this, it's the all forest colors, and I'm using the DMCs. So theirs are highly variegated. So theirs is going to look vastly different. When I pulled out the colors, they were definitely browns and mustards more than I had realized. But as I stitch it, I find something oddly soothing about these colors, except for one that I'm going to pull out. And I bet you can tell what it is. So that's where I am. This is an 18 count Ocean Air from Fox and Rabbit. I had to stop and think for a minute. And that's where I am. It's nice. There's only 6 colors or so, 6 or 7 colors in this, to be honest with you. This one here, I think, is the one you could tell it's a little too bright and brassy. It's, can I see what color it is? And I haven't done, there is an orange that hasn't gone in yet. I don't think that orange will be too bright. If it is, I will reevaluate and I'll look at some of the, I'm going to pull out my DMC card and I'm going to look, which one is this? This is 741. So it's a little bit brighter than a lot of these other colors, and I'm finding I don't really like it in there. And what's really funny is I am not, a lot of times 732 gets used. And when you look at it as a whole, it's very yellow greenish, and it's not my thing. And a lot of times I change it, but I said, I'm going to try it. And I stitched a little bit of it. And in this pattern with the one on this color, I really like it with all these other colors. So I'm actually not going to change that one out. So you can see, again, lots of kind of those browns and orange browns, but I'm liking the feel of it, and I'm enjoying the stitching of it so far. So this color is supposed to be here with a big chunk, which is why I didn't go in that direction. So I have to make some decisions about that. And then when I get to the orange, I'll make a decision there with that. I'm sure there's plenty of options if I do want to kind of make it a bit more subdued, I guess is the best way, rather than a bright one, which is different for me because, you know, I usually like the bright colors and everything else. So I'm enjoying this. I don't know if it'll make it out this week. I think I'm using it for something this month game wise, so I'm sure it'll come out more than once. And then I have one more piece to show you. So when I finished my, what did I finish? Bottled Beauty, that rotation, it was time to pull out another piece. So at the moment I have almost like 2 full coverages going, and they're, you know, when one rotation's finishing, I still have maybe half a rotation left on another one, and I'm kind of rotating that way. This way I'm hoping to get a little bit more work this year on my full coverages. I'm not feeling, say, stressed about it. I'm just enjoying that process a lot right now. And I'm enjoying mixing it in with the non-full coverage pieces so much that I like having the extra one. So this, I haven't repeated a full coverage yet this year. I don't know. I don't have a wheel or anything. I do have them all listed on library cards, and that's how I'm keeping track for the year of how many stitches I do. But I might try to do the whole rotation that I have. I have 15 or 16 full coverages. I might rotate through all of them and then start again. We'll see. Bottled Beauty could come out at any time though. I love that one. So this is Mini Paris Morning. It is charted by Heaven Earth Designs. Artwork is by Rose Kahn. And no, it's not. I keep wanting to say it's Uliana Babenko. Excuse me. She has a whole series, Uliana Babenko, of this girl and the dog. And of course the dog looks like, oh, that's probably going to make it more pixely, but that looks like my little Shamrock. When when he was around, and he was a beggar. He was always hungry. Part of that was because he had a little disease that made him always hungry, but he never got, so he got kind of people food for his food. Do you know what I mean? Like, but he never got people food from the table generally. But it didn't stop him. He loved blueberries. Loved blueberries. But it never stopped him from begging. He was always under the table. every time anybody ate, that's where you could find him if you didn't know where he was. And if you ever dropped anything accidentally, forget it. You were not, he pounced. He was like a predator on that piece of food. Oh my gosh. You didn't even try. So I have to hold it back for a second because I almost have it completely down on that side. That side here has probably about 15 or 20 more stitches. I don't know exactly. So I might do a little bit. This only got 1 day of work so far in this rotation. So it's got the full rotation basically. But I think I might just come down here just so I have this bottom border set. And then I have I'll have 3 of the 4 borders at that point. So that's what it looks like in total. But the only thing I did was this side. Quite a bit actually in the sense of filling in. So you can see here, this is what we have. That's the same color, you know, curtain on this side, but it's much wider on this side. And I'm really enjoying the colors. So a lot of fill-in happened. And there's a couple stray stitches up here. I'm waiting until I have a few more of those to stitch, and then I'll keep going in and filling in. But I did fill in quite a bit here. Again, 18 count, white aida, 2 strands, over 1 full cross. So I'm enjoying this side. This side is heavily confetti over here with the leaves and the sky, which, you know, obviously goes a lot slower. I may try to get a little bit of that in. I do want to finish here. Maybe I start tackling them more here, so I don't want to leave myself all just, well, actually, you know what? Once I get by that, so if you see here, this area is sky, and then you'll have like kind of the cloud confetti, right? But it'll be a different type of confetti. So, but again, you know, big enough, but not humongous, not like some of my other full coverages. So, this was closer to one of my first full coverages, I think. I can't remember exactly the order and when I started them, but you'll see that next week. And depending on how I've started it, you might see it even once more on the following. I don't know. But yeah, so that's my stitching. So plans. I have 2 new starts that I think I would like to do this week. We'll see how that happens. So if you've been around, you knew that the Country Cottage Needleworks, the monthly cottages, I was stitching them originally for my mom, but since she can't have them where she is at the moment, they'll go here, and I put them on my ledge. So I took off February, and I was looking for March, and I knew there were some that I'd stitched but not fully finished. I thought March was one of them. Well, it turned out there's 2 that I haven't stitched, March and April. So I'm not going to take them out at the moment. That's many of you, these have been around for quite some time, so you've seen them. That's the March one. We're already now on March 8th, so I think I'm going to start the April. And then that will leave me March to do at some point in the year. I've already cut the pieces, so I use Vintage Country Mocha on these. And in fact, I accidentally stitched the first one on the back side, not the front side. So they may go on the back side still. Most of them are, because I kind of was doing them as a set. I guess it kind of doesn't matter as much now, so they'll go on one side or the other. But these pieces are already cut for both March and April. I've already pulled the DMCs. So that's an easy start. Just have to make a working copy of my piece, so it'll be easy to do. So that was not a scheduled start for this year, but I would like to get those last 2 done and then have that kind of project done. And if I was to start something like that now, probably wouldn't, because the months are very repetitive, and I had trouble keeping my interest doing that. You might have thought I'd scrapbook them, but because I had started fully finishing them for another reason, I will at this point, and put those out on a monthly basis. The other one is a planned start. I have all 4 of the seasons from Summer House Stitch Works. This one's Spring Awakens, but I'm not stitching it like this. I'm going to stitch it monochromatic and only do 1 color. I'm going to do very similar to what I did with my Jardin Privé. I'm picking 1 color of floss, which I think I've picked. Let me show it against one of my white fabrics for my full coverage. So I am going to use 319 Flosh. So again, this is what the Flosh comes, this is how it comes, this is what it looks like. It's 319, so it's just like, where's 319 actually? Here we go, here's my DMC, the regular. So you can see, with 18 count, I can use 1 strand. I generally use 2 if you're new, because I like the fuller coverage. So there's this, you know, obviously in the skein itself, the small little DMC looks a little darker, but I really like this color and I think it's gonna go well. I'm picking 4 different colors of fabrics to kind of match with the seasons, and I'm going to repeat the colors but make them more pastel from the Jardin Privé. So those 4 were pink, blue, yellow, and kind of a peachy. That peachy one's a little bit mellow, so it may end up being very similar. I'll put this back so I don't lose it. But I'm going to go, I have 3 that I'm choosing from. So I'll show them to you. One is just Hush Pink dyed from Fabric Flair. So that's a, you know, those are the printed ones. So you have that. This one is probably the lightest of the 3. So I have light, medium, dark of the pastels. This is Pensiero and is from Grace Notes. I liked this one when I first saw it, but then when I looked at it with the Flosh, it's almost a little too pale, but I'm not giving up on it. And the darkest of the 3 is Peony, and that is from Mystic Fabrics. So we have, I'd say the Hush Pink's probably the middle. And then here we go. So you see the lighting, the pinks are gonna look a little bit, in person they look a little bit better. So I don't know which one I'm gonna go with, but it's gonna be all monochromatic. They're small, they're not huge. What are they at? 118 by 88. So I will start each one of these for each season. So I'm kind of looking forward to that. I really like monochromatics, you know that. And I think it'll be fun just stitching this with the one color. A little bit different take on it. So I'm going to put all of that back together until I decide. If you have if you saw one of the combinations and I would love to know your opinion. See, that'd be the type of thing, if I was really good with Instagram, I'd put a post, maybe do a poll, you know, all that kind of stuff, but I'm not quite that good. So those are the 2 planned starts that I have. One was planned from the beginning of the year, one not so much. So see, plans are made to be changed around a little bit. And then I will continue with my March challenges, finding different things. I have all of this in my head. I need to take my notebook and my challenge notebook, and I need to write all the things that I'm doing down so that I can figure out where I am and what letters I need. Okay, so that's that. Shopping, see, the rest of this video should kind of fly by from here because I only have 1 piece of shopping. I did not pre-order anything this past month, so you're not going to see any pre-orders coming in or whatever. I have looked through and I have some things that I would like to buy, and some things that I'll probably buy sooner rather than later, but nothing coming in that was pre-ordered. I wanted to see everything and not be swayed by emotion or like a fear of missing out kind of thing, but really, and I've done that before. I'm like, oh, I love this. And then when I look at everything and I evaluate what I like to stitch and what as a whole I want to choose, those things change. So I have to pre-order something, I have to really commit to it. And I don't think for these kind of things with these markets and stuff, I don't know if I do that anymore, to be honest with you. Alrighty, 1 piece of happy mail. It is the fabric of the month from Under the Sea Fabrics. So if you do not want to see, I want you to look away. I don't know, I'm going to say the name because I don't think you can tell from the name. I wouldn't have, at least. Many of you are probably smarter than me, so look away. 18 count, and it's called Rooibos, which is a really tasty tea. I do like Rooibos tea. All right, I'm going to put it down. I don't know what I'm going to use that for, but see, that's kind of cool because that's why fabric of the month sometimes is really nice, because that is not something that I would necessarily have gravitated towards. but I'm really interested because something will come up and that'll be the perfect color for it. So that's what I do like. All right, giveaways. I still use my blue bowl to hold the giveaways and the winner and stuff. I just don't do the picking out of the names anymore. Like I said last time, it was just a little too much. This week we were doing, and I have a little thread there, a very long and narrow piece. This 15.5 by 6-inch piece of minty green opal. So it's an opalish green, 14 count. And I don't know who the dyer is. It came from Salty Yarns and they don't say. So I'm not sure exactly. Maybe it's like a Zweigart. I don't know. I'm not sure. But it's pretty. And then Sea Spray Chenille from Vintage Needle Arts, which is also kind of minty. So they're kind of similar. I didn't plan that. When I was going through to decide what to give away, I was like, oh, well, that kind of works nicely. And I went through all the comments and I did the comment picker. And the name that came up, actually, I'll put it up against the fabric so you can see, because the colors go nicely together. I'll make sure I can say it right. Evelyn Barola. And it was Evelyn Barola 3574. I know those numbers probably are just YouTube numbers, but congratulations, Evelyn. If you could get back to me with your address, I will get those mailed out to you. And then this week is a tiny little, I was going through charts and I saw this cute, adorable little chart. And I said, well, wouldn't this be fun? I haven't stitched any of these yet, but I have been collecting them. I don't think they'd be big stitches, but this is from Jeanette Douglas and it's Chubby Bird. I have the fox, the bird, and I think it's a rabbit, right? I have all three. I haven't stitched them yet. I don't know what I'd do with them. This one's pretty. It's in a tart tin, almost like a cushion, pin cushion. And is how it was finished. I don't know if that's some chenille. Yeah. Excuse me. But if you could say the word, I was trying to figure out in bird, I was like, eh. So don't say that for this. Say the word mauve, because the color there, M-A-U-V-E, that if you were to ask me what color that is, the first thing that would come to my brain would be mauve. So M-A-U-V-E. Whoops, be careful. My table's right by the tripod, so I don't want to shake you. So if you would like me to metaphorically put your name, is that the word I want to use? Not really. However, sort of put your name in the blue bowl. Just say that comment. And Chubby Bird is going to live in the blue bowl for this week until I pull a name for a winner. So that's it for all of that. That's my stitching. And look at that, 57 minutes coming in with stitching. If that's all you're here for, then have a fantastic week. And I hope you enjoy whatever you're doing. And I hope you get lots of stitching in. Life stuff is pretty quick. So I joked last week that I had no idea where Connor was going for spring break. And in the end, they did end up going to my in-laws. So, and I think it's going really well. I think Mo talked, was it last night? To both Connor and my mother-in-law. And she said that Connor looks relaxed, looks happy, eating, because, you know, starving college student is not necessarily, that's true in some cases, right? I mean, I know you have cafeteria, but I don't know. The way Connor eats and misses the breakfast, and that's the meal that they like the most from the cafeteria. So, you know, I don't know exactly. So getting meals and being pampered and spending time with grandparents, plus doing some work that apparently was not done before break. So I think it's going well. And I think my in-laws are really enjoying the visit. My father-in-law's feeling well. So I think that's really great too. And so overall, it was a little stressful. Remember how I told you that I needed to know where Connor was going so I knew how much to worry, right? So you'd think Massachusetts to Connecticut, no problem. I don't have to worry as much. Well, of course, Connor, being Connor, doesn't leave early for anything. Leaves late, driving after dark, and then was stuck for ages and ages. So, you know, when my kids are traveling, I do kind of do that, you know, the find my friends thing, because I worry, right? You know, and I don't want to just keep texting them and whatever. And if they're driving, I certainly don't want to. So I look at the, you know, and for ages and ages, Connor was stuck by Sturbridge, Massachusetts. And I was thinking, okay, what's going on? What's going on? Well, Mo actually looked at Twitter, or X or whatever it's called, and apparently there was a big, huge accident. Connor was not involved in that accident, thank the Lord, but was stopped for a really long time. They said that that was probably the worst traffic jam they had ever experienced as a driver. But luckily got to my in-laws okay, and then I could stop worrying. But so yeah, so that's been going well, and spring break is almost over now, so they'll be going back either Saturday or Sunday to school. Other than that, yeah, it's been really rainy, and our lawns are like sponges because there's so much water, and the sand, the soil here is kind of sandy, obviously. And so it just, I don't know, it's like you walk on the grass and you're like, really feels weird. And it's been gray and just really difficult. I think we have one more tomorrow is supposed to be on Saturday, another really rainy, yucky day. But I think it's supposed to get a little nicer, maybe a little spring-like. Between my kids, well, Connor is in, and then we usually look at the Connecticut because that's where our family is. All the places that we look for the weather, everybody else is going to be warmer today than I am here in Delaware, and I am the most south of everybody. So I said I don't understand that. That's not fair, but you know, hey, that's the way it is. But I know all the flowers and trees. My neighbor, I'm looking right across the way, and I'm looking at the side of, there's a little side street here, and so I'm looking at the side of her house, and she has blooming daffodils right now. So just one batch of them. The others are just the greenery, but daffodils are coming. I assume the leaves are coming. Allergies would be coming. So if you thought I was snuffly before, wait another month. I will probably be I'll probably sound completely nasally altogether. But, you know, I love spring. I don't like the stuff that floats around, but I put up with it because I love spring. So hopefully we'll get a chance to get out and about a little bit. But that's about all that I have going on. So we're going to wrap this up a little bit faster, and maybe that means it'll upload a bit better, a bit faster. I'm thinking of trying to get to Salty Yarns, but I don't know if it'll be for the weekend or not. I should go tomorrow when it's raining, right? But it'd be fun to, you know, support a sort of local. I mean, it's about an hour away from me, but a local needlework shop, and maybe pick up. I don't know if they went to market or not, but I'm sure they ordered stuff. So I'm sure they'll have some of the new stuff. So maybe you'll see. You'll just have to watch next week, my shopping section, to see if I went. All right, that's about it. That's all I've got. I hope you are well. I hope you are safe. I know there's still lots of stuff going around, so please take care of yourself. As always, remember, you are important and you matter. So please take time each and every day to do something that brings you joy, that, you know, fills your cup complete, whatever wording and phrasing you want to use. Just know that you are important. So you do need to take some time for yourself. And that's it. That's all I've got. So until next time, happy stitching.